I'm Alan Porter, the host of the Content Journey podcast, and today I have with me Lisa McIntyre, the DAM product manager from Nuxeo. And we're going to chat about some of the trends that she's been seeing in her conversations with various digital asset management professionals over the last 6 months or so. So first off, welcome to the podcast, Lisa.
Thanks for having me, Alan.
So we've seen a definite growth in the application of DAM technology across the enterprise recently. Are there any particular functional areas that companies are focusing on that you've identified as benefiting most from DAM?
Yes, so what we're seeing from the DAM market is that a lot of people have seen the benefits of using DAM for marketing, and as that, they are expanding their capabilities to really incorporate more of the life cycle within the product, whether that be actual hard good products or more of the marketing materials. And so people really understand that there ought to be a single source of truth. However, what they know, and what they're going forward with is that that truth may come from multiple areas. And so what we're seeing is that many people are requesting the abilities and making sure that we can easily integrate with upstream and downstream capabilities for the content. For instance, if somebody is working through a photo studio or having to go through packaging design and other materials libraries, what they see is that information and the data about those files comes at many different places. Mm-hmm. So even though they may be using DAM for a small chunk of their workflow and their life cycle, they really want to be able to tap into these other systems to take advantage of the information where it exists close to the source.
Interesting. So you're seeing a real desire for DAM to be a significant contributor across the whole of the content supply chain?
Absolutely. And again, it acts as that contribution in ways that it's displaying the data and capturing the data and making it more usable by the users outside of the traditional DAM lifecycle.
So it's not really just about marketing anymore. You're really seeing it push across the enterprise?
Absolutely. It really is going outside of the traditional marketing and expanding into the full enterprise.
Oh, great. So from an operational standpoint, are there any particular features or functions that DAM professionals need to make that happen to really expand the use of DAM across the enterprise as a whole?
Yes, Alan, absolutely. As I mentioned, enterprises are looking for the ease of integration. And so whether that be for a PIM, a resource library, or anything related to the capturing of data and content, they're looking for that ease of integration, not something that takes months to integrate, but rather something that takes weeks. And it's not only that initial integration, it's the ability to extend that integration as time progresses. So just because your needs change, they don't want to have to change underlying systems. So having something that is easily plug and play is something that is really attractive to people looking at DAM these days.
Great. So as part of that expansion, obviously that's going to bring with it a large increase in the amount of content and the amount of assets maybe that a DAM's got to cope with and manage and ingest and tag. And, hearing a lot of talk in the industry and, reading a lot of articles and a lot of blog posts around the potential impact of using things like machine learning and artificial intelligence to help with that really sort of tsunami of content that's coming our way. How do you see that? What sort of things are you hearing around AI and machine learning and how that can really help with building an effective enterprise DAM operation?
So, Alan, I can tell you as a former digital asset management librarian myself, one of the hardest things to implement within any system is to get the information, the properties, the metadata, that crucial context that goes along with the files. Without context, all we have is a file share. And what we're seeing with AI and machine learning is this really gives us an opportunity to get something into the system without really bogging down the time of the librarian. And what happens is what we're seeing is that we can use AI and machine learning to give context to files and to allow that librarian to move from data entry to data validation. And what that allows is more efficient use of the time of the librarian to be able to do other work, whether that be to manage expiration and usage or something else. But really, AI and machine learning gives us that kernel of hope that really someday there may not be a magic bullet for getting all of the data into the system, but at least it's cutting down exponentially in the time it's taking a librarian to be able to actually catalog and to get that data into the system so that it's more usable by the downstream user to be able to find and reuse the content. And ultimately, that is the raison d'etre that DAM has always strived for, is that ability to reuse and to create efficiencies with the content itself. And so I really see AI and machine learning as giving that beneficial boost and to get that clean data into the system with as little hindrance as possible.
And what about in terms of sort of adding value to the assets? And so, is that an area you think that AI and machine learning can also help in sort of applying? Because when you leave it to humans, we don't always remember stuff, but we also know things that don't come out of just the fact that it's a photograph of two guys in a boat. We know maybe where that lake is because we have that information. And I think if we can apply machine learning to sort of apply some of that implied knowledge that we as humans bring, I think that can also add value to the assets.
Right, and you're absolutely right. I think the key term there is the learning portion. And ultimately what it turns into is the librarian being able to teach the system that in 95% of the cases, it's absolutely right. And this 5%, let's go ahead and make some changes, but let's learn for those changes. Again, the old adage is it's only a mistake if you don't learn from it. And ultimately, we want to give AI those same capabilities, machine learning, modify so that next time maybe 96% is correct and 4%, and kind of going through. Will it ever be 100%? Likely not, but that's why we still have humans in the loop. And honestly, that's something that we strive for. There more than likely will always be a human in the loop, but let's minimize that time that it takes to get it in the system.
Yeah, and use the humans for what humans are good at, which is the creative stuff and the
exactly, exactly. And unfortunately, the hardest thing is not the creation of the asset, but rather the cataloging of the asset. And if we can take that off of people's plates and responsibilities and let them get back to being creative, then we've done our job.
Okay, and just sort of changing tack slightly. How do you see the role of DAM in business continuity? Obviously, that's something fairly high on everybody's thoughts at the moment.
In today's atmosphere, even more so. What we have seen from our clients and our prospects is the idea that digital content allows for a more seamless time to market cycle. And what we're able to capture, in previous product life cycles, there was a period within that life cycle where you would actually have a physical modeling of the product for people to respond to and to give feedback. Well, as you wait for things to travel back and forth, or as things can't travel back and forth, you are paused in your life cycle and your distribution. What we have seen from our clients is this ability to use the DAM to allow for a more digital prototyping lifecycle. And what that allows is for the prototyping to move beyond that physical need into something that is now more collaborative across the board, to be able to quickly make iterations to products themselves, to get great feedback, to be able to make changes, to be able to get something to the market without relying on that physical being, which may or may not be coming.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yes, as we're all moving into this sort of more collaborative environment, I think it's an area where DAM really can play a very important role moving forward. So.
Absolutely. And particularly as we see the 3D modeling and being able to take advantage of materials libraries that exist and really supporting that compound or complex document within the system. So even more than before, our assets are not just PSDs, Word files, PDFs, etc. What we're really seeing is this kind of layered application to be able to quickly make changes in a digital world and a digital work stream.
Great. Well, thank you, Lisa. It's been a really informative and interesting conversation. So thanks for joining us.
Not a problem.
A special thanks to Lisa for joining us on the content journey today. Thank you for taking the time to join us and listen. I'm your host, Alan Porter. Stay well, stay safe, produce good content, and enjoy your journey. Thank you.